Good morning, everybody. I just want to quickly share with you a small biblical nugget about trauma and fear. So we had a talk this morning about sexual abuse, and I just went to look in the Bible, if anywhere there's a verse where the word trauma or a form of that appears in the Bible. So the verse I did found was in Luke, where die barmhartige Samaritaan, the Samaritan, where the person was abused and attacked by robbers, and he was left on the side of the road. And when you read this person who came by to help him, it said that he bound up his wounds and he poured on oil and wine. And that was so amazing, because this word that was used for wound in Greek is actually the Greek word for trauma. And it's the only place it's used in the whole Bible. But why it was beautiful to me is what followed, was where he said he poured on oil and wine. And that's really the two things I think that must be done when we deal with trauma. Because without that, you won't be able to heal. So we know that the wine is symbolic for the blood of Yahushua. And we will speak again maybe more about this next week, but the blood of Yahushua is so much more than just his blood. And sometimes it can actually be misused to be in covenant with him. That's when you can appropriate his blood and use it. To be in covenant with him, his blood becomes a powerful tool to heal and to protect. And you need to go on a journey with him, a covenant journey through his tabernacle, for you to heal those wounds of trauma. And the second thing is his will. And we know the oil is symbolic of his name. His word says that your name is like oil poured forth. And that oils, the characteristics of oils is that it heals a wound. It softens the wound to heal. So sometimes a wound can become so calloused and hard that medicine and other things cannot penetrate. But as soon as you apply the oil on it, the scabs and whatever, the lesions, it becomes soft and other things are able to penetrate. But it also promotes the healing and the forming of new tissue. And we also know that the oil is symbolic for his set-apart spirit, to invite the spirit into that trauma and into that wound. And it is a process. So I just want to encourage you. And also just what's interesting is to see that the Greek word for trauma, actually, if you look at the synonyms they give, is for a bruising. Something that's really oppressed and bruised. And there was another word that they used, now I can't remember it, but what hit me was, if you look at the symbolism, like Abba says that life is in the blood. So our soul dimension is in our DNA, and that's the blood. And when you bruise, when your flesh is pressed so hard, it starts bleeding. Your soul dimension starts bleeding into your flesh. And that's what we talked about this morning. When you go through an event of trauma, that event is so hectic. It's literally as if your soul is bleeding into your flesh, and you start to see other fruit like disease and sickness, other fruits of trauma that starts to manifest in the flesh. So it's really something deep that needs to be healed. I want to encourage you to deal with your trauma. We also discussed this morning that what you don't deal with, you pass on to the next generation. So trauma is really a weapon of the enemy to keep us in bondage. But I know Yahushua is faithful. I know he is able to, by his name and by his blood, to make every captive free and to release you from that trauma and bondage. I just want to leave you with that little bit of wisdom this morning. Have a blessed day.